Hello everyone, my name is Nexos Holocourse and I am here today to help teach you about 3 to 4 different tricks that you can use to help elevate your GSC play. Two of these being very niche interactions that can help you make sure that your units are getting fully utilized to the best of their abilities, and 2 are just helpful interactions that can give you the tools you need to deal with a very tricky unit that we're seeing a lot in the meta right now. So let's go ahead and get just straight into it. This will be a quick one today, so let's go ahead and roll that intro. You thought it was going to be the same intro as last time. Nope, you only got that once. That's it, I'm never doing it again. Okay, so today I want to talk about some rules interactions that might not be thought about that much, or really tools that people might not be realizing they can use to their advantage. Okay, so to start off, what we're going to do, we're going to be in a small scenario in TTS. Let's go ahead and pop over here. All right, so I'm going to be using TTS as a tool here today to help kind of guide us in what we can do to get around a tricky scenario. Let's say after my opponent's turn, and this is going to be a very specific scenario, but it's specific just so that we can effectively look at what's going on all in one thing. I don't have to make a bunch of different scenarios here, there, and everywhere. We're going to just guide ourselves through a turn that is going to use 2 to 3 niche interactions to help overcome a very difficult situation our opponent has put in. So they've had their Rhino go ahead and charge to tag up these Flacos. They also had their Crusader squad. Let's say they killed something right here and then they consolidated and were able to touch Neophytes that I had holding this point trying to sticky it, right? I'm in a rough spot right now. These Crusaders, they have a blood surge, so they're hard to deal with. My guys right here might have to use their output to go into this, and that's just a waste. Not only that, in my fight phase, my opponent will be able to pile in and just help clean up this Flacco squad, right? So how do I make sure I have as minimal losses on my turn as possible? Well, to start off, we have a couple scenarios that we need to look at. Okay, let's pretend that with this charge, yes, the Rhino would do something, right? Let's say he killed 3 guys, but I was able to regen 3 back, and we put them right here. I'm still not able to hold a point because all these boys are OC2, but whatever, I digress. But because the Rhino charged me on the point, I had Twin Link. Let's just say this Rhino's down to 5. Okay, just 5. So we have a very unique scenario we can do here. If we want to take a look at the Adelan Jackals, they have a demolition rule, or a demolition bomb rule, to where, and let me just read this out for you here. Once per turn, in your movement phase, when this unit ends a normal advance or fallback move, you may select one enemy unit within 6 and visible to this unit and roll 1d6 for each Adelan Jackals model in this unit. For each 4-up, that enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound to a maximum of 6 mortal wounds. Now, that sounds all well and good. I just want to point out one very big difference here that you might not be seeing, okay? We're just going to compare this to a stratagem, okay? Grenade. In your shooting phase, target 1 grenades unit from your army, excluding units that advanced, fell back, or have shot this turn. That is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. The effect. Select 1 grenades model in your unit and 1 enemy unit that is not within engagement range of 1 or more units from your army, is within 8 inches and visible to your grenades model. Roll 6d6 on a 4-up. That enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound for every 4-up. Did you catch something in there? Engagement range. The grenade stratagem deals with engagement range. These guys can't grenade here. However, Demolition doesn't care about that. It does not have any clause to where you can't target anything in engagement range. So we're going to say this boy's at 5, okay? We're going to walk this quad up, all right? We're going to be just within 6. We'll say that's fine right there, okay? We go boom, bam, maybe still have some guys on the point. It doesn't super matter, right? Then we're going to go over and we're going to roll 5 dice. And look at that. We do 4 mortal wounds. This boy is down to 1. Next up, we're going to move these bikes around. I know this car's here. We're going to move him later for specific reasons that I want to talk about. This will be for another example. We can pretend he's... These bikes come around, okay? They're going to end just within 6, okay? We could also maybe go around this way to try and get like right here, something like that. It doesn't super matter. We're just going to have bikes pop out, okay? They're within 6. They are going to roll mortal wounds. They do 2. Great, fantastic. This rhino is now dead. That's awesome. That's great. If you'll notice, I have not done anything with these boys. It is still my movement phase. If I were so inclined, if my opponent didn't have the, if I were so inclined, I could still move this unit now. Because they are in engagement range, my opponent cannot reactive move. So I'm going to do a fun little trick, okay? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move my boys to where they're just outside of an inch. But just fully, I guess these guys could be more over here like this. All I'm trying to do is make it that in no scenario are neophytes over here going to be the closest thing for them to blood surge into. And I hear you, Floof, blood surge, they're already in combat. Why would they need to blood surge? Well, that actually comes in with my next tip, okay? Now, we're gonna go ahead and go into our movement phase. Well, we're still in our movement phase. So we're gonna go to finish our movement phase, okay? These Raveners are here. And the Raveners can do a lot of damage to this Crusader squad. They absolutely can. But the thing is that I'd like to do a little bit more right now than I can. So I'm going to set up 2 things, okay? We're going to go ahead and we're going to move that Ridge Runner I was talking about. You'll notice right now, this Ridge Runner is 15.9 inches away from the Crusaders. I'm actually going to move that back just a little bit. We're just going to have him slide around right here, be wholly on the terrain, and do a quick little remeasure. 21.1. That's fantastic. That's exactly what I want, okay? Now, we are going to go ahead and move these Raveners as well. They can move 10, but I'm just going to do something like this, okay? We're just going to end like right here, maybe even just right here. Something pretty relaxed, pretty tame. Actually, also, just for safety, say some acolytes came in over here because maybe I know that my opponent knows what I'm doing. And so we end up and we're over here, okay? We're going to be in this little pocket that's nice and safe. And why is it safe, Floof? I don't understand. Once again, you're not explaining why this is. Also, TTS doesn't have hyper adapted Raveners. This is a squad of hyper adapted Raveners. Ravener Prime right here. This boy is very important for this scenario. If we want to look real quick at the final day detachment rule. At the end of your movement phase, for each Tyranid Synapse unit from your army, you can select 1 friendly Genestealer Cult unit, excluding Pure Strands and Patriarchs, and 1 friendly Tyranids unit within 9 of and visible to the Synapse unit. If you do, that Genestealer Cult unit from your army suffers D3 plus 1 mortal wounds, and 1 model in the selected Tyranid unit regains up to that many lost wounds, and until the start of your next movement phase, each time a model in the selected Tyranid unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. Cool, I'm going to go ahead and do that. This Ravener Prime has Synapse, right? So, he's going to go ahead and say, I'm going to give myself the +1 to wound, and I'm going to eat these neophytes right here. Great. I'm going to deal D3 plus 1. 1. Cool. I'm going to kill these 2 neophytes. That's great. You want to know why? Because that's not an engagement range with the Crusader squad. It was only these 2 neophytes. Now, it is the end of the movement phase, so this would be after I deep strike, after I do all of my movements. So I can't move the neophyte squad anymore, and in fact, I will probably have to pull at end of turn these 2 neophytes if they're still alive. So we pull these, and now in my shooting phase, this squad can shoot. And these guys, these Raveners, have +1 to hit. So that's the second thing, is that you can use the final day detachment as well to pull yourself out of combat. If someone tags you and they only tag 1 or 2 models, you're guaranteed that you can pull yourself out of combat. If they get 3 or 4, it's a little risky. If they're able to touch 5 models, you aren't able to do this trick. It's a lot less guaranteed than the Adel and Jackals one, to where they can just destroy the unit. but it's something that's very good and something that I really like. As well, for coherency, I would only need to pull like these two guys right here. In my turn, I'm going to regenerate flat 3. I can set a guy right here. Boom. And on my turn, I would be able to regenerate these models into the unit onto this point. And if I hold this, then it's sticky on my turn. That's also just a fun little interaction there. But anyways, we killed these two models right here. Those would die to coherency, right? Loof, we still have 20 Crusaders in front of us. What are we even gonna do? Well, this is into trick number 3. And this is just a reminder to read your rules, kids. It's very simple, and it's going to be a little silly, but just hear me out on these next 2 things. This is something that sometimes people just might not think about, right? Blood Surge only works if you kill a model. Now, this is a mortar with Survey Auger and a mortar. I could 100% shoot this mortar into here with d6 plus 3 attacks and blast. Let's go ahead and resolve that. Let's just say I do that, right? Let's say I didn't move the guy. He's still right here. Let's go ahead and resolve these attacks. Stubber is 5 attacks on 4s. Cool, I only hit twice. Fun. I am strength 4 twin linked. Cool, I get 1 hit. They get a save. Cool. The mortar is d6 plus 3 shots. Boom. 5 plus 4 on 4s, on 3s, and then they're going to get a save. They can choose to take this little neophyte here that has a 4-up save. They're going to roll. Okay, well, god damn it. It didn't work here, right? Because of course it didn't. But let's just say that with all of that output, they lose 2 neophytes. Great. They can now charge in, kill my squad, hurt it like a motherfucker, right? So that's not something I want to do. So that's why I move over here. We are now outside of 18. And I hear you go, Floof, why is 18 important? Well, the heavy stubber, if you'll notice, is 3 shots, rapid fire 3 at 36-inch range. I'm going to take a gamble here. Now, of course, I could be a little bit more confident with my gamble and keep within the 18. But for this example, maybe we just stick right here, right? I am on 5s, you know, it's risky. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just shoot the heavy stubber here, and the mortar's just going to go wherever the hell else, okay? And I am hitting on 4s. Great, I hit 3 times. I wound on 4s because I'm strength 4 to toughness 4. Cool, I'm twin linked. I'm going to only reroll 2 dice. Hi, Editor Floof coming in here for 2 quick seconds. The next 5 minutes was me trying to get through this activation and realizing that I had schmucked up what I was trying to get through. I'm gonna just real quick. I hit 3 times in that activation. I rolled the wound, and I wounded no times. That should have stopped right there. The reason Twin Linked matters for the Achilles Ridge Runners is that it allows you to reroll all wound rerolls. It's not any failed wound rerolls. It's not successful ones, anything like that. It's just all wound. You are able to reroll any amount of dice. So I only want to shoot 3 shots from the stubber, get at least 1 4-up, and then I'm going to use the Twin Linked to reroll my successes and try and make them failures. Does that make sense? So if I rolled 4, 5, 6 there, and I wounded all 3 times, I'm going to use Twin Link to try and get at least two fails that way, because everyone in their squad is fully up to snuff and they're all 2 wounds. Even if I get 1 through and they happen to fail it, they don't lose a model, and thusly they are unable to blood surge. Does that make sense? Use the Twin Linked in creative ways. Don't just use it to always get it to where you're wounding with the stubber. You can use it to make sure you don't wound a target, and that gets around blood surges. That gets around blood surges into Victrix guards, into metamorphs, into berserkers, into crusaders. I'm only using crusaders here just because it is the first thing I thought of. But there are many things with blood surges, and many things that are either multi-wound or they have a field of pain. And that can be very bad for them because blood surges require you to lose a model. If you don't lose a model, no blood surge. And there we go. Okay, back to the video. I don't need you to make any saves. In fact, I don't want you to make saves. I don't want to kill any of your guys with this. I only need to hit here with the Ridge Runner. And by needing to only hit with you, it doesn't mean I need to wound and do damage. And so I don't want to, because that's going to trigger your Blood Surge. So in a very roundabout way, what I'm trying to say is I want just to tap you once. Just make it to where I'm only touching you just a little bit, and then I'm going to use Twin Link to make sure I don't actually wound. I'm going to make it to where I take all of my successes and I re-roll them, and I'm wanting 3 2s and 1s. Okay, I want to happen when I tell them that they can Blood Surge. Okay, and I'm going to get 2 activations. I'm going to get 2 shooting activations and a grenade into this Crusader unit because I am telling them when they can Blood Surge. I am in full control here at this point. There are some things here to where I could have gotten diced with not dealing enough mortals here, but with these guys shooting in, they could absolutely still kill the Rhino that's tagging the Acolytes. I just wouldn't be able to do this full screen movement right here, right? So, now, we will go ahead and go to grenade with the Acolytes. They're going to throw a grenade. They're not in combat. They haven't shot. We're just going to go and roll a quick grenade. Hey, look at that. 3. 1 neophyte is dead and 1 takes a wound. This is not an eligible thing for someone to Blood Surge. They have not been shot. They have been dealt wounds and a model has died, but I have not made a shooting attack, right? And because I didn't yellow scribe these boys, we're just going to put a 1 right here. So that's it, right? That's all they can do, is just they take the mortal wounds there. Now, obviously, grenades can spike in any which way, right? You can do absolutely no mortals. You can do 4 mortal wounds and kill 2 guys. Cool, great. Killing 1 to 2 guys isn't the best in the world, but what we're trying to do is kill as many of these guys as absolute possible on our turn and try and make it to where nothing survives into their turn, okay? Next up, the neophytes. These neophytes can shoot. In fact, there's still 2 guys here. There's a guy here, like a guy here. I forget fully where, but yeah, they're there. Cool. Probably can't see, or maybe we can with this guy. 1 guy's out. Cool. The autoguns don't super matter. What matters is that everyone else here is going to be able to shoot. So let's go ahead and just do a quick resolution of this. We'll even say that this is our Benefactus with the sustained enhancement, so everything's super great, okay? I'm going to go ahead and do some rolling of the dice, and I'll come back real quick after we have resolved everything that's gone on, okay? Cool. So, we have done a chunk of shooting. We have hit these guys to where we finish off the last of the neophytes, dev wounds, and then a pretty nice roll from the Benefactus. She did get 1-6, both wounded. Is going to pick up also 3 Crusaders. Now, of course, my opponent can Armor of Contempt here, and that is going to help them. Maybe we say 3 more here. But they're also going to have a very equally good opportunity to Armor of Contempt, because now that they have killed some guys, they can Blood Surge. Cool, great, fantastic. Yay, we love Blood Surge. They're going to go 3 inches. Sure. They are going to go and just walk up to the nearest unit, and they're going to tag in, right? They're going to be here. Yay, we love touching things. We love touching things. Woo. Touch all of the things. Great. Crusaders are here. Wonderful. I am now going to go ahead and shoot my Acolyte hybrids. If you'll notice, these pistol-like things that the Acolytes are holding, these hand flamers, have a funny little keyword called pistol. Now, one of the reasons why I kept the Acolytes where they're at is because I'm trying to make it to where when they Blood Surge into me, they are Blood Surging on to this point, so that when I activate with them, I can use the Twin Link that is on their data sheet. Let's go ahead and roll out the funny little hand flamers real quick. It is 9d6 hand flamers. Strength 3, so I'm wounding on 5s, but Twin Linked, okay? So, just a quick little roll. 38 shots. That's a bit more than average, but 21 saves at AP 1, please. My opponent has a base 3 up armor, so they're going to go to 4s. Great. 10. So 5 guys die. Coolio. Now we have 4 Crusaders left. This also is normally, Crusader squads don't come bare normally. There can be like a Helbrecht here or some other character, right? In that case, there is obviously the chance to where this is a Justiciar, which there are still enough guys here to where this can kill the unit. But if it's something like even Helbrecht or something like that, let's just say Big Boy is up in the front and like right here or something like that, okay? We still have something to where, hey look, these Raveners can charge. I have made it to where now my opponent won't even be able to fight first and kill the Acolytes, and on their turn walk up and still try and kill the Neophytes, right? I now am still securing it because I held them up in combat, or held them up in my movement phase so they can't reactive away or anything like that to make my charge longer, but then I cut the cord after my Raveners moved so they still have a good charge, right? So we now have this to where if we want to come over, we probably have like a 5-inch charge over here. Hey, look at that, a 5-inch charge there, right? It's still something that is a risk, but a 5-inch rerollable I'm totally fine with. So we will go ahead and make this charge roll. Hey, look at that, we make it in on a 10. We can go over here because we can go over our boys, of course, but also we can just, you know, be right over here. No need to get fancy with it. We can have it to where they're just behind the wall. And then because of coherency, this guy would have to be over here, if that makes sense. If these guys are the last two to move, right, and we touch all over here, if this guy can come over here, which actually, let's see, 4.4. Okay, cool. This guy can touch right here. Why not? All these Raveners are in combat with the Crusaders. I charged, they did not, so we're going to go ahead and resolve the 18 attacks now. Another thing with our combo as well is that we gave the Raveners +1 to hit. So this is 18 attacks hitting on 2s, okay? Roll all the dice. Now, hyper adapteds also give themselves sustained, so we drop 3, pick up 4. I am strength 5, this is AP 2, damage 2. I do not get the Ridge Runner buff on the hyper adapted Raveners. It is AP 2, it is staying at AP 2. The Ridge Runner only gives the buff to GSC units. So, I'm winning on 3s and I am twin linked. Cool, great, fantastic. We drop 1, 18 saves, please. They can totally save it to where this is... Hello. They're saving on 4s because of Armor of Contempt. Let's go ahead and just do an ordered roll, okay? So, we need to kill 5 guys. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then if there was a character in this unit, unless they have a 2-up, like a 2 or something like that, they're going to be taking 8 damage. That is going to kill just about most things that you can think of, right? I think right now we have it to where outside of a Judiciar, this unit has just fully cleaned out whatever we needed to clean out. There is also the fact that even with the Judiciar, if they have to fight first with the 5 guys and the Judy, they have to now split their attacks between the Flacos and the Raveners. If I get like a shorter charge to where it's like an 8 or something like that, and I can have these guys back over here, that's perfect because all of their guys were already touching my Flacos. They can't pile in to try and get more guys here. It's probably only the 2 right here, correct? Also as well, if I want to just say they do have some more guys back here that weren't touching, I can charge with the Neophytes and just tag them up. Cool, you can totally swing your sword. You're going to kill like 6 to 7 Neophytes. Great job. Now, obviously, there is counterplay to this. It obviously depends. If they have fights first, if they have 1-mood models because of Helbrecht or something like that. Maybe I don't go for the Ridge Runner buff, right? Maybe I just go and shoot them with Neophytes to start out. Obviously, things can change. Obviously, how Mortal Wounds and everything plays out, things can be different. But what you're seeing here is in this scenario, I was able to take the unit out, right? I was able to clean up a 20-man and make it to where even with this sloppy play, I have it to where now Raveners are protected, Flacos are still on the point on my next turns. If Neophytes are still here, I can regenerate onto the point and retake it. And while I was sloppy with bike movement, I could have done all of that while continuing to screen out further advances from other bikes. Am I going to be able to set up this scenario every time I go to kill one of these 20s? No, of course not. And into like things like World Eaters and, you know, Black Templars themselves, obviously there are other units going around in this game right now, right? But if I look at this unit and I go, what do I need to do to kill it? Well, you can bring some bikes in from Cult Ambush. You can rapid ingress some stuff to go deal with another threat, and then you can additionally rapid ingress hypers using their data sheet nearby the Crusaders and use some of these tricks. And it doesn't even have to be against blood surge units or anything like that. The final day pulling to your little synapse eating, and then the bikes mortals, these are just generically good tricks. I'll actually throw up a picture here real quick. This was a scenario that I realized that it's something I should talk about when I was at Cali Cup. In my first round against Votan, I had rapid ingress and Flacos, 9 inches away from a Sagittar that was just touching a point. He went to go make a long bomb charge. To get to where he was, he needed like an 11. He rolled boxcars. Great, cool. But now it kind of stops my Flacos from moving up. And of course they can, you know, shoot and they can fight it. They had actually done a good, considerable amount of damage. They brought it to like 2 or 3 because he's still on the point and I have twin linked and AP1. I just ended up getting there, right? Well, on my turn, I'm looking at the Sagittar that's on like 2 or 3 and I move up the bikes and they throw their demos and they blow up the Sagittar and Uthar and some guys get out and the 5-man that's touching the Sagittar walked up and they cleansed. They went onto a point and they cleansed, and 5 other acolytes had walked up and cleaned up Uthar's whole little gang. Great. That's fantastic. There's just a lot of things that you can do with these tricks. And while every trick might not be something that you want to use every game, you might not always want to constantly just make sure that bikes go kill something that's in engagement range to do something, because you might be throwing, right? You might be giving up too much board presence. It all depends. But these are still tools that you can use to elevate your gameplay and make sure that you know every single thing and every interaction that you can do. TLDR of this video, read your fucking rules, kid. Read your fucking rules. I didn't know about the demolition charge engagement range thing until, I want to say LVO. Someone had brought it up because they had pulled that trick on someone and I was like, that's game changing. Oh my god, bikes are disgusting. And, you know, just make sure that rules can be powerful. Blood Surge kind of fucks us a little bit because it's just, we need to make sure that we are stacking buffs, and one of those buffs is the Ridge Runner. Well, sometimes you don't need to have the mortar go and tag them. Sometimes I'm fine having a Ridge Runner come out just a little bit more, so I'm shooting with the Stubbers. And all I need is that one hit, and I'm going to make sure Twin Linked helps me to where I don't wound. All it says is that you can re-roll the wound roll. It says nothing about re-rolling unsuccessful wounds. You can just re-roll the wound roll. You can use that to not wound. Don't do damage. Don't give them saves. And then there you go. You're in luck. Maybe if it's Helbrecht, and he has... Because I think Helbrecht comes with like some 1 wound guys, right? Let me double check here. No, it's not Helbrecht. Who's the little guy? Isn't there like a guy that does? I could have sworn. Maybe, is it Grimaldus? Yeah, it's Grimaldus. Can he lead? He can lead Crusaders. Cool. So if it's Grimaldus that's leading Crusaders and he has some 1 wound guys, that's probably where I'm going to go for the play, to where I am only hitting them with 3 stubber shots and I'm using Twin Linked to make it to where they don't have saves. It's still very risky, but it's something that I can go for, right? And we saw there with how the interaction worked out to where they were using Armor of Contempt against the hyper-adapted Raveners. With the Ridge Runner buff or without the Ridge Runner buff, they still have 3 activations that are going to do a lot of damage into them when sequenced correctly. You're going to have something Blood Surge into you, and you're like willing to take that. What you can do to help you is like put something with a pistol in front of them. Put something with a pistol, shoot it with whatever you got behind them. Have them Blood Surge into the pistol unit, shoot your fucking pistols. Do anything, right? Also, hi, real quick, Editor Floof here. I'm not gonna boot TTS up. You can't make me. There's also a way to artificially set it up, where this scenario, of course, isn't the perfect thing, but say this is your block of Crusaders. Cool, great, fantastic. It could be Vitrix, sure. I don't know. There's like an eye here, I think. I don't know. Listen, all that matters say we have a unit here that I don't want my opponent to get access to. I'm going to leave it sitting here, and then I'm going to go, hello, 6-inch deep strike. Here is a bunch of acolytes. Cool, great. This is why I always recommend taking the 10-man. And then we go, hey, here is the neophytes. That is the symbol for the neophytes. Everyone knows this. And then we can go where we do tag them with the mortar, or we just go grenade, shoot with the neophytes. These guys move in, they touch the flacos. Flacos flame them. Stuff I didn't want to get touched. Hey, look, maybe they even charge and help out. Cool, great, fantastic. That's everything that you can do that. That's with host. However, you have to have the 6-inch deep strike with host, but it's something to where you can just say, I'm going to deny you your reactive move. You're going to be where I'm at. And then a reactive move doesn't trigger off of a deep strike. Cool. Great. And make sure you know where they are moving. Control their movement as best as you can. If I had fallen back with the neophytes, there's a world to where they reactive move to where they actually decide to follow me because they shot called it and they're in tactical, so they're going to get the flat 6, and they're going to keep it to where they're still just like an inch away from the neophytes. And if I go to shoot them, they're going to go blood surge into the neophytes, and it's going to make my life a little bit of a hell, right? It's rough. So I want to make sure that I'm using all of my abilities to the best of their ability. Does that make sense? Cool. Great. Fantastic. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this was educational for you all. I hope you do like this sort of thing. I know I'm talking for 30 minutes and I'm calling it a shorter form video, but these are some tricks that are a bit on the higher level of gameplay or just some thought processes and the line to go deal with them. And I hope it helps you realize that maybe there are some things, Victrix Guard, that are a bit more manageable than you might think. I used a 20 mana Crusaders here. That could have been 6 Crusader or 6 Victrix Guard and a bunch of other guys, right? Or whatever character you want to put in. And would it have fully killed them? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they're able to get back at me with fight on death. Sure, fine. Doesn't matter. Maybe it's something to where it's like Calgar, and you know, where he's doing the Victrix thing to where he's got the 2 with the 4-up invulns, and yeah, that could totally be a thing. It's still, I am showing you the sequence to deal with this unit that I'm seeing a lot of people just say, GSC just loses to this. Not really. On a baseline, on an average median player level, yeah, because I don't think these lines are that obvious. So I think that Blood Surge is Blood Surge with a reactive move is rough to deal with. But there are ways to punish your opponent with that. So, hope this helps. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff. If you like these kind of videos I make, support the channel, do whatever you can. That way I can keep making these and we can keep, you know, and we can keep just getting better. We can keep pushing forward and we can keep elevating our gameplay. Thank you all so much. I love you very much. Have a great day. Pet your dog for me. And yeah, roll the outro. Bye.